Geraldo Rivera, the Fox News veteran and a regular on The Five, has been friends with Donald Trump for 4 decades. And that was our jumping off point when we sat down in New York. Geraldo Rivera, welcome.
Thank you, Howard.
You're a longtime friend of Donald Trump, and yet you've also criticized the campaign he's running. It's got to be a little uncomfortable for you.
What is uncomfortable, I was very excited when he made his announcement that he was running for president because he is a friend of mine. I do love the guy. And we had just had the experience with Celebrity Apprentice where we were together every day for 6 weeks. That was just in February, and then this was in June. So when he came down the escalator, it was with great anticipation. I was on the radio live. And when he started speaking, I was thrilled. I thought that it was, he showed he was a movie star. He had a grasp in general terms of the issues.
And then he started speaking about things like immigration and Muslims.
Then he said Mexican immigrants were dope dealers and rapists, and I assume there are some good people mixed in. He gave us that little bit, and I was shocked. I was hurt by it because that's not the Donald Trump that I know.
And you have, you talk to him occasionally. You have expressed your views to him privately that you think he shouldn't be going there in terms of certain of these issues, immigration, Muslims, and so forth?
We were together as recently as Tuesday night in New York. We had a nice chat. I didn't bring up immigration, but he knows, and I have said publicly, that though I have this deep affection for him and respect for him and his family, a lovely family, I could never vote for him unless he moderates that position.
Is it hard for you to go on the air and criticize him, sometimes in very strong language, when he is your friend?
People take, in this building particularly, with all the Irish Catholic colleagues that we have, abortion is an issue that really is deeply personal to many of our colleagues. Immigration is my abortion issue, so to speak, my litmus test. It is easy for me to draw my line. I can go that far, but no further. You have to be compassionate to this population. I've written 2 books about them. They are my constituents, in a sense. It is impossible for me to be for someone who would deport American families that have citizen children. Donald knows that, but I fully expect, and I want to be very clear about this, Howard, I fully expect that all of the Trump naysayers are correct. Cruz is correct. Donald doesn't really mean it. The Donald Trump I know would never break up American families to make a political point.
But then you're accusing him of using some pretty strong rhetoric about deportation, even though you say you believe, as his pal, that he doesn't really mean it.
I think that you have to be a crazy person to get the Republican nomination these days.
You said that to Howard Stern on his Sirius XM show. I was going to ask you about that. So Cruz, Trump, they're both crazy? Or that you're saying they have to act crazy?
I think they have to toe a line that is in many ways intolerable for a reasonably intelligent, compassionate person. You have to clear the Stephen King hurdle in Iowa before you get anywhere. Stephen King is the congressman, remind everybody, that said of Mexican immigrants that they have the calves the size of cantaloupes because they're all carrying dope across the border. I mean, if you have to please that person to get past the nation's first primary election, then you are doomed to a radical position that will never fly with the American electorate, and you can never be elected.
You considered running for the Senate in New Jersey as a Republican.
I did. I am a Republican.
Did you conclude you're not crazy enough to run as a Republican candidate?
I concluded that once the Koch brothers got involved and promised my rival, the mayor of Bogota, New Jersey, $5 million, that the $5 million I had stashed away, my family and I, to make the run would have easily been exhausted. So plus, we were going to lose against Cory Booker anyway.
You were going to lose. A loser, as Trump would say. All right. You've hit Ted Cruz pretty hard. When he started talking about New York values in Iowa, you said you thought this was sort of a coded anti-Semitic message. I don't agree. I think it was a shot at loudmouth liberal New Yorkers.
I disagree. I've been around a long time. When you think of New York, you go back to Jesse Jackson, 1984, Hymietown. The only reason Ted Cruz didn't say New York was Hymietown was because it was already taken by Reverend Jackson. I think that when you use New York, what is New York? And then you throw in money and power and media, you are talking about Jews. And I know it. I sense it. I'm very defensive about my people,
Have you
my mom's people particularly.
Have you talked to the senator, or if he's here at Fox, you go in the other direction?
No, I generally don't want to confront him. We have had, I have interviewed Senator Cruz. I was at an off-the-record campaign fundraiser that some parents in my kids' school invited me to, so I've had time to listen to his pitch. And that New York values hit on the eve of Iowa was premeditated. I have no doubt but that he did that to signal that he was against those people, meaning me.
Finally, what compelled you to say yes to Dancing with the Stars?
It's funny. I've been asked several times to do it over the course of the years. When I was more physically able to dance, my kids said, "Daddy, don't do it. You're going to have an affair with the professional dancer." They all do. At that time, they were all...
That would be so unlike you, to have an affair with some woman.
I said, no, no, no. And then finally it was on my bucket list. So at the age of 72 and lame, I said yes. And you could watch me in the finale on May 24th.
I give you credit for taking it on. Geraldo, thanks very much for sitting down with us.
Thank you, Howie. My pleasure.